That's asinine in the simplest form. Why wouldn't you want a journalist to investigate? It costs you nothing as the government, but as journalists to investigate this, right? So
Right.
investigating something that costs you nothing that can save the government and taxpayers money at no fucking cost to anyone but the journalist. You want to eliminate that. That makes no fucking sense to me.
Live from Kentucky and Louisiana, two Marines, one mission. This is Sense and Senseless. From the hills to the bayou, stories collide. Brothers in arms, now we're side by side. Sense and Senseless, we cut through the noise. Two Southern Marines with that rebel voice. Grab a seat, pour a drink, let's make some sense. Or none at all, it just depends. Sense and Senseless.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Sense and Senseless podcast. I am Brian.
And I'm Jason.
Here's Jason. 6, your first time joining us? Welcome to the family.
Welcome. Shalom.
Shalom. We're just two average guys trying to make sense of the world in a way that everyone can understand. So what we're going to chat about tonight? Tonight we're diving into one topic that keeps coming up. Why does the economy feel so broken when the numbers say it's doing fine? We're going to unpack the damage of inflation since the Federal Reserve was created in 1913. We'll look at the dollar. We'll look at how the dollar lost 97% of its purchasing power. What $1,000 bought in 1913 now costs about $30,000 to $33,000. We'll talk about the wealth gap that's exploded in plain sight. And we'll break down the 4 big expenses that are crushing families. And how this shit skyrocketed since 1971. Then we'll compare today's comfortable income for a family of 4 against the median household paycheck. We're going to learn what comfortable means. We'll also talk about one last thing. It's going to be why most people feel like they're falling behind, even though the real median income is higher than it was 20 or 30 years ago. And there's one thing out there that California, I don't know if you've seen all the fraud they have in California they've been talking about. Anyway, they're trying to pass a law.
No.
Hold on.
You're lying, dude.
No.
California's a straight and up and coming state.
They have this new law they're trying to pass to keep journalists from investigating fraud. You know, that's pretty fucked up. All right. Well, stick with us. It isn't all doom and gloom. It's just pattern recognition. And just so everyone knows, and it's going to be pretty obvious if you stay with us for a little while, I'm not an economics scholar. I'm not a banker or financial wizard. I struggle with everything in life. All right. I'm just an average man. I'm just nerdy enough to look at the boring shit and try to shed light on it in a way that we can all understand it a little better. All right. So, before we get started, please like, share, comment, follow, subscribe. I really appreciate each and every one of you. All right, let's get into it. So first, I want to view inflation. A lot of people just hear the word inflation and just move on. But what if I told you that the U.S. dollar has lost 97% of its value since 1913? I mean, that is what inflation has done since we set up the Federal Reserve in 1913. Inflation sounds better than what it actually is. What it actually is, it means the valuation of your dollar. It means your money's worth less. And this is just a play on words. And they use it all the time. That's why I talk about half truths. And this is what I mean. What I said is true, but it doesn't really tell you a full story. You know? I bring this up this week because last week, Jason, you said you look at your paycheck and don't really notice the inflation because you're making more. Then one day you go buy something, damn, I didn't remember that shit costing that much last time I bought it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's
Yeah, my
inflation.
dollar don't go nowhere near like it used to.
No. Man, we don't discuss exactly what inflation does to us. And it's just basically a hidden tax on us. And this is a little video I call semantics and how words can be used against you. Now he shows it in a good light, but it's just all semantics. It just depends on how they tell it to you.
Begin transmission.
Here we go.
If you say you like someone else's wife, it sounds immoral. But if you say the person you like has already become someone else's wife, you seem pitiful. If you say, tonight I want to sleep with you, you sound like a creep. But if you say, tomorrow I want to wake up with you and watch the sunrise, you sound romantic. That's the power of words. If you say a student studies by day and works at night in karaoke, people judge her. But if you say she works at night and still keeps studying during the day, people admire her determination. If you keep losing and playing, it sounds foolish. But if you keep playing, despite losing, it sounds brave. The facts are the same. Change the words, you change the meaning.
Change the word, you change the meaning.
That's funny.
That's all they do is play words on us. You know,
It's word games.
It's a word game. They're not lying to you. They're just not telling you the whole truth. They just play. It's all semantics.
You notice on your email, like you use Outlook at work.
Mm-hmm.
You notice how it gives you suggestions how to reword stuff?
Yep.
Never did that before. It was always just fighting spell check, right?
Yeah.
Now it's telling you how to reword your stuff.
Oh yeah, you sound like you got a 4th grade education because I do. Now leave me alone.
He was a 3rd grader that was held back.
Yeah. We knew you couldn't spell, but you can't even put sentences together. Shut up. Just shut up. I don't need you correcting me.
Yeah, AI muted him.
That's right. AI muted me. My bouncy ball. Man, fuck you. Here's the thing that most people don't understand about inflation, though. Inflation is cumulative, right? So if inflation is 3% this year and it's 3% next year, the following year you have 6% inflation added to whatever the inflation was before. It doesn't go away.
It doesn't go backwards.
It used to when we was on the gold standard, because I was curious about that. And when you was looking at like after the Great Depression and all, so you had inflation, but since you had a base of money, so it was on the gold standard, you had something to go back to. You can recenter, and the inflation would start coming back down. But once we got rid of the gold standard, inflation is not going away, and that is a problem. So right now they're saying, we lost 99% of the value of a dollar. Now we get more dollars, but the value of a dollar is going down that much. Right. So I found when I was doing all this, I found an inflation calculator online as part of the Coin News Media Group. So using that calculator, the cumulative inflation since 1913 is 3,235.5%, meaning what cost $1 in 1913 would cost you $33.35 today. All right. So I looked at it since 1971 when we left the gold standard. In 1971 to date, the same calculator inflation has gone up 715.3%. Meaning what cost you $1 in 1971 cost you around $8.15 today. Okay. So I played with it in 1997, and I did a bunch of nerding out on this, and I'm on. So 1997, when we got out of the Marine Corps to now, the inflation has risen 105.7%, basically doubled the cost of all goods since 1997. And just since COVID in 2020, inflation has gone up 27.6%. 27.6%. Keep that in mind. 6 years inflation has gone up roughly 28%, averaging over 4.5% a year. That's double what the Fed tries to target every year of 2%. It's when you go and you see your grocery prices have gone up, just think about that. It's going up almost 30% since COVID. It's gone up 27.6%, according to that calculator, since COVID. The Fed target is 2%. So in the same span, the Fed would target it going up 12%. We're more than double that.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder why.
Your
You know,
dollar don't feel right.
yeah. And most people didn't get a pay raise of 27.6% since 2020.
Mm-mm.
So make that make sense. They say that we're doing better than we ever done. And we probably are when you look at dollar wise. But when you look at the power of our dollar, that's a big difference. All right. Now let's if that didn't piss you off enough, let's kick it up a notch. Now we got the wealth gap. So we talked about the wealth gap before, and since 1913, we've seen a U-shaped pattern in inequality. It was extreme in the 1920s and compressed during the Great Depression through the 1970s, then shot back up in the 1980s. Today, the top 1% holds about 30 to 35% of total wealth. The bottom 50% holds roughly 2 to 3%. Why? Because real economic growth happened, but the gains were captured overwhelmingly by the asset owners. So the stock, real estates, the businesses, they all exploded in nominal values, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
inflation plus the real growth in their assets just kept growing. So they own something, those inflationary dollars chase what they own,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that constantly went up and they had something to back it up, kind of like the gold standard was. They're using their real estate and all. Our money sits in the bank because that's what we know to do with it. And inflation goes up and that dollar in the bank just loses value.
Right.
So the wealth gap just starts growing. You know,
They
it's
don't
bigger
have
and
dollars, they have assets.
they have assets. And they're
Yes.
the dollars that are generated between the ones and zeros and shit in the bank, they
Yeah.
chase those assets. We have
Mhm.
dollars
Mhm.
because we don't know how to, you know,
We don't know
spend
how
our
to have assets.
we don't. I mean, we're not taught that.
No.
Now, I'm not going to say the average taxpayer, we're not better off than we were in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I mean, we were pretty good. But in terms of purchasing power, we're not the same, you know? And so we have this level of money that we're getting, and we talked about it a couple weeks ago, is if you made what you make right now 20 years ago, you know, would you feel better? And you were like, yeah, man, I'd be retired. I'd be rich. You
Mhm.
know, you would based off of what it was 20 years ago.
Right.
But today, when you look at that money, you just feel poor because the basic cost of living continued to outpace your fucking income. And then what pisses me off is we get the government telling you shit like this.
And so the consumer is really firing on all cylinders, just like the corporate sector you're seeing in the earnings reports. And they're doing that because they have so much more money in their pockets. In fact, I had the head of one of the big five banks in my office yesterday going through the credit card data. And just as Secretary Bessent said, credit card spending is through the roof. They're spending more on gasoline, but they're spending more on everything else too.
It's they try to make it, dude, I'm telling you, it's like they stick it in your rear end and they make you like, you guys ought to feel good about this.
So you don't have money just falling out your pockets?
No, I don't, but they try to act like we do.
You know what I find funny about that clip though is
What?
did you notice that he talks about how much credit card, like that's just how people just want to put all their money on the credit card spending's up. It's because they ain't got no fucking money.
Money, I know, because of that. Remember that one dude? I think he was a real estate agent or something in California. You kept playing, and that dude was talking about how people had to use their credit
Yeah.
cards just to
Yep.
survive.
Yep.
That's well, no crap, dude. They're starving.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna take a quick turn and I'm gonna explain something to you that you might not know. And now this guy and his friends, they might be swimming in fucking money. You know, the rest of us aren't, and
Right.
they might all have these assets, and they are. I mean, if you have assets, you're doing a lot better than the fuck we are. So I'm not going to say that guy's lying. Again, the people
Right.
that he knows probably got money falling out their pocket.
Right.
All right. But you notice every week we one step closer to a peace deal, right?
Right.
And it seemed like at Friday, we going into the weekend, we close to a peace deal, and it all falls through. We didn't get anything. Every fucking week it's back and forth, back and forth. And I don't know if you know what you mentioned earlier, so you do know um, about how people are making money off the stocks and shit based off of
Mhm.
these peace deals.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of lucky investors with impeccable timing that's making a fuck ton money off all this back and forth shit. There's one
Oh.
report that states that the U.S. regulators like DOJ are actively probing
Mhm.
multiple large suspicious short positions in oil futures totaling billions.
Dude, there's an app out there that mocks Congress and senators day trading.
Yeah, but this is just off of the oil right now, though.
I know, but I'm
Okay.
talking that goes worse with there's an actual app you can put on your phone that'll help you trade
Oh,
in
damn.
and masking what the senators and congressmen or the Congress people are doing.
Well, there's the answer. We all start doing that, and we ain't got to worry about
Because
our
guess what?
inflation
They're
anymore.
probably getting inside information, right? And their
Well,
monies are becoming big.
that's what they're saying here. So, one example, $760 million bet placed just 20 minutes before an Iranian announcement about reopening the strait.
Yeah.
So that was just impeccable timing, right?
Yeah.
And then there was plus others ahead of ceasefire delays, strike pauses, and the strait updates in March and April. And these trades anticipated price drops on peace progress, headlines that temporarily ease supply fears, but since full deals never materialized and the strait stays mostly closed, of course, prices rebound, allowing well-timed shorts to profit repeatedly from volatility. Now, Reuters and others have flagged $7 billion in similar activity with questions about possible leaks from ongoing U.S., Iran, Pakistan mediated talks. This isn't the only shit going on. I read a report the other day, and this is quite possible. I don't know if it's happening, but they were saying that these tankers, these oil tankers, sit offshore, 12 miles offshore. So if you're 12 miles offshore, you're in international waters. Okay. So they'll fill up. Let's just say they filled up their tanker at $70 a barrel, right? And
Right.
they get somewhere and they understand that the oil's about to go up. They might sit offshore until the oil goes up to 120. Then
Right.
they go in and sell the oil for 120. So they said there's storages of tankers offshore, many places that hold out for this. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad strategy, but they're also getting inside information.
Right.
They have to, right?
Right. Right.
I mean, that portion has to be criminal. So I don't know, man. They have a lot. They have a system that we'll never be a part of. Now, I've read all that, and then today I seen this Lego video, and they keep telling us that all this Lego video is propaganda. But everything that I read was basically in this fucking Lego video. So it's like, is it really propaganda? Let's check this shit out.
Right.
Who knows before the news? Flash news. Iran-US deal is imminent again. Yes, for the 5th time in 19 days. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Axios dropped another scoop? Wait, check the trades before the group. Someone knew something. Again. Rag Rabbit, the messenger pigeon of the West Wing. Every time he tweets deal near, the oil market starts sinking. Sources say, officials claim, progress made in the game. Then crude drops like a rock, every single time the same. Someone in the White House picks up the red phone. Call Revit, tell them leak that we're close to the throne. Like 20 minutes later, oil futures take the dive. And a handful of quiet accounts come alive. But the story doesn't end with a tweet or a leak. A server in London gets slammed. The volumes of peak, billions in short bets placed right before the collapse. Like they wrecked tomorrow's newspaper, that's the trap. Who knows before the news? Tell me who. Tell me who. Who gets a call when the war is through? Tell me who shorts the oil right before it slides? Who gets rich while the public buys the lies? Say their name. 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 Let's roll back to March 23rd. Remember that day? 15 minutes before they said attacks are postponed. Okay? $500 million short on crude, clean and neat. Oil crashed 15%. Somebody got a feast. April 7th, hours before the ceasefire was announced. 950 million more shorts. That's a serious amount. Boom, boom. Oil down again, profits stacking high. This ain't a coincidence, don't even try. April 17, 20 minutes before Iran opened the strait. 760 million short. Yep. The same trait. 20 minutes later, the strait is declared open wide. Someone had the script, who's the inside guy? May 6th, Axios scream, final deal is near. But 20 million short was already here. 125 million profit in a single day. The ones who knew before the news just walked away. Chances of a deal, 90%. Sell now before the headline hits. So Axios drops the same fake news every single week, and someone shorts the oil, man. That's some unique technique. Barack Ravid, are you a journalist or a signal for the rich? They're not even hiding it anymore. Cali Bath called it Operation Trust Me Bro. US and Israel playing puppet, that's the show. Elizabeth Warren said this is corruption, stop the game. But money blinds the watchdogs, nothing's changed, same old frame. Congress says it violates the 34 Exchange Act. If true, some suits should be getting their contracts cracked. But no arrests, no probes, just Axios headlines on repeat. And Barack Ravid wins with one phone call, bitter and sweet. Ding, ding. So, who knows before the news? The same guy who calls Axios right after he places his shorts. Obviously. Loud, ironic laugh, then beat cuts. 5 times in 19 days, 0 deals, billions in profit right before every news. Do the math, folks.
And all this shit is costing the taxpayer. And these motherfuckers are making billions. It's sick that we got to get information from Lagos. You know, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna say they all. Yeah, I'm not gonna say they all real. You know, and they all got truth to them. But out of everything I've read and everything I found, because I've done all that, I looked at all that well before I seen this video. When I seen this video today, I'm like, motherfuck, they already tell. I didn't have to look at all this shit. I could have played this fucking Lego video.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I looked at all that before I seen it, because it's starting to make me think some of these fucking things are probably real.
That's effed up, and another country's actually enlightening us what's going on.
Yeah, with a lot more. Man, we getting fucked. I mean, we knew we were getting fucked, but
Well, hey, it's a good warfare.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
they winning that warfare.
Yeah, because they're pissing the people off.
Yeah, and we're wrong for noticing again.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so that was the squirrel thing. I just wanted to bring that because I didn't know if you knew that. I didn't know if people listening or watching knew that a lot of people are getting rich off of this shit going back and forth. And again, I don't think we're being told the exact truth about what's going on. I think they really believe we're children. We don't deserve the truth. But they're spending our money and they're killing our kids or putting them in harm's way. So we should know a little more than what the fuck they're telling us, All right. So let's talk about the 4 big expenses for everyone. All right. So there's housing, education, childcare, and healthcare. And these are real pain points. Since 1971, the cost of the big 4 grew faster than the general inflation and median wages. Government policy, laws, and regulation have played a massive direct and indirect role. So let's start with housing. So housing, the median home prices went roughly 3 times the income in 1990s to 5 times the income today. And a lot of that's because the new zoning shit, environmental regulations, the permitting and low rate policies enable fiat money and juice demand. And then the rent and ownership now eat a bigger share of the income more than ever. Education, especially college, the real tuition at a public 4-year school has roughly tripled since the 1970s. And what I read was the reason is because guaranteed government, financing. The colleges know that they're going to get their money, so they just keep coming up with it. I guess it's no different than, you remember they were giving like $10,000 trying to get the electric cars going. I think it might have been around 2020 So the government said they were going to give $10,000 rebate to anyone that bought an electric car. So what the electric car company do? Just mark this shit up $10,000.
Well, the tankless water heater
Yeah.
and the solar panels, they were
Uh,
doing that too.
oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, and anybody goes after that, right? Because that's sure money.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying you shouldn't go after it. What I'm getting at is the government gives you that, and then the person selling it, they just mark that shit up what the government's giving.
That's what I'm getting at,
Yeah,
not the
yeah.
consumer. I'm talking the consumer's getting the grant from the government, but the provider cracks the money up because it's sure money.
Yep. So yeah. So all we doing is just passing money through to them.
Yeah,
Basically, so they pass something to where they can give their friends more money through us. It's all legit.
right,
Makes sense, right?
right.
Childcare costs have risen 1.5 to 2 times faster than overall inflation.
Oh, it's
It's,
crazy. I couldn't afford kids.
they said in metro areas right now, full-time care for 2 kids can top 28,000 to 35,000 a year.
That's crazy, dude.
That's crazy.
That's more than you pay on like my house that I got now.
Healthcare per person spending went up from $353 in 1970 to over $15,000 today. Again, that's because of Medicare and Medicaid and shit like that. They know they're getting their money, so they keep jacking that shit up, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Now before we move on, I want to show you this, Jewel. This is a lady that worked in healthcare, and this is in 1996, and she gave this statement. This is it's a pretty disturbing statement, to say the least. And trust me, I believe everything she said.
She confessed in 1996.
I am here primarily today to make a public confession. In the spring of 1987, as a physician, I denied a man a necessary operation that would have saved his life and thus caused his death. No person and no group has held me accountable for this, because in fact what I did was I saved a company $500,000 for this. And furthermore, this particular act secured my reputation as a good medical director, and it ensured my continued advancement in the healthcare field. I went from making a few $100s a week as a medical reviewer to an escalating six-figure income as a physician executive. In all my work, I had one primary duty, and that was to use my medical expertise for the financial benefit of the organization for which I worked. And I was told repeatedly that I was not denying care, I was simply denying payment. Let me explain to you the ways that I was a good medical director. I was regularly consulted by marketing on ways to change expensive benefits or change the language to give me loopholes to make denials when requests came. I turned pre-existing exclusions into a game, and as I tried to connect almost any prior medical complaint or visit as a reason to deny payment. What kind of system have we created when a physician can receive a lucrative income for adding to the suffering of patients? I became a physician to care for, not bring harm to my patients. And I'm haunted by the thousands of pieces of paper in which I have written that deadly word, denied.
Dr. Linda Pino denied a medically necessary operation back in the late 80s. The patient died. But she saved the insurance company she worked for as a medical director $500,000. Then she got promoted. Her job, use your medical degree for the company's financial gain, not for patient care. She was told, you're not denying care, you're denying payment. But denying payment for necessary treatment is denying care. She made a lot of money by writing one word thousands of times. Denied. She testified to Congress in 1996 that this haunted her. The insurance system, it's only gotten worse. Without any congressional intervention to break up this monopoly, insurance companies increase their profits all the time by denying claims. 30 years, both parties. We've allowed this to get worse with zero reform. To every denied patient, someone you have never met is paid to deny your claim. Appeal it. The system counts on you giving up. And a denial, that can be a death sentence. Ask Dr. Linda Pino.
Fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
To get paid just to deny your shit. Then she get promoted. Get more pay.
Dude, they've had movies about this.
Yeah, Denzel Washington when it needed the heart and shit. That one.
Yeah. Yeah, that one. And then, I mean, that was the worst one. John Q. I think was that movie.
Yeah, that was John Q. All right, so now let's talk about the difference between what a comfortable income is versus a median income. Uh, so using the 50-30-20 rule, there's 50% goes towards your needs, 30% goes towards your wants, and 20% goes towards your savings. And the current cost data, a family of four needs roughly 213,000 to 230,000 pre-tax annually to live comfortably nationwide. Family of four needs 213,000 to 230,000 pre-tax annually to live comfortably nationwide. In high cost states, that number jumps up to 300,000 to 400,000. Compare that to median income of the household, that's about 83,700 to $84,000. So they're saying you need anywhere between 213 and $400,000 to live comfortably as a family of four, depending on where you are in the United States. But the median household income is only $84,000. All right, so that's a big difference. Now the comfortable threshold is now in the top 10 to 15% of earners in this country. Now, a few decades back in 1990, the same lifestyle might have needed $60 to $80,000. In year 2000, maybe 80 to 110,000, and in 2010, around 100 to 140,000. 2020, about 150 to 190,000. Now, the nominal numbers climb, but the gap between what the median family and actually earns and what the comfortable actually costs has widened dramatically. That's why dual income households became the default, yet many families, the second paycheck gets swallowed by childcare. Now, we hear our politicians and elites say the economy is great, but the average people, you, me, we see a different world. And here's the final piece that drives people crazy. Every time a politician or pundit says the economy is strong, look at the GDP, look at unemployment, how the stock market's doing. Have you seen the Dow? The average person just hears fingernails dragging down a chalkboard. They aren't lying. We just don't live in their fucking world. So, I mean, asset prices and corporate profits look fantastic for the 1%, but the median family sees grocery bills, rent, tuition payments, and doctor copays that keep rising faster than their paycheck. This perception gap is why polls constantly show most Americans rate the economy as fair or poor, even when official stats look good. The elites live in a different economy, one where inflation shows up as higher asset values. The rest of us live in one where inflation shows up as higher survival costs. So, is the average American better off in absolute material terms than 30 years ago? Yes, we got bigger homes, we got better tech, and longer lifespans. But the standard of living for a median family feels harder because the four big expenses have outgrown our wages. The wealth gap has widened. Inflation has quietly eroded the dollar over a century. The system didn't collapse. It just got lopsided. Sad thing is I don't believe we have the people in politics to change this for the average man. They're getting richer. You're losing money while you're listening to this podcast. Simple answer is you can also invest the way the 1% do. Just like Jason said, you got an app for it. You can earn. I encourage you to do so. But if you're like me, you'll never taught how to invest. And I've tried stocks. I own some now and I fucking suck at it. But I've tried. Yeah, I mean that is pretty fucked up when you look at where are we at comfortably and where we're at in the median income and how much the interest has outpaced our checks. That is a hidden tax that we don't look at enough, and we question, why we still broke. Well, it's because we can't keep up with inflation. And I did check the numbers in women staying home and taking care of their kids versus sending them to childcare. And based off of everything seen, if you have a kid in childcare, you might want to run the numbers. It might be difficult at first, but you might end up building a better life for yourself and, saving a little money because you can get rid of certain things. I mean, you got less money in the vehicles. It just, you're not paying for childcare for one.
Right.
And
You don't need
raising your own kids. I mean, there's a lot
Yeah.
of benefits to it.
Right.
So, uh, crunch the numbers in that if you can. I mean, if you can't do it, I mean, I get it, but most of the time, and well, the things that I looked at for the average person, the money that you spending on childcare, you might be 10 to $20,000 that year more in the family,
Mhm.
right? So you might lose that if you take your job away, but it might not matter in the grand scheme of things because you don't realize all the little things you're spending money on that you're not actually, taking out. All right. So, I don't want to question. We talk about Trump a lot, and I don't want to question everything that Trump does because he does make some good decisions. And to be fair, the shit with this fraud that they've uncovered that's been good. Um, but the fraud is from people committing fraud using the framework of the federal government. So they're stealing from federal programs. We aren't taking down politicians who are signing off on this fraud. I mean, and honestly, from what I've seen, it took Nick Shirley to bring to light the fraud that we've seen. And like I said in the opening, I don't know I don't know if you know how Nick's being rewarded, but they're honoring him in the great state of California with a bill nickname called the Stop Nick Shirley Act. And I'm not but sure if it became law, and depending on who's telling the story, the bill means multiple different things. But the reason it's dubbed the Stop Nick Shirley Act is because they're basically trying to eliminate journalists from doing their jobs and investigating shit like fraud found in Minnesota.
Right.
So now let that sink in. There's so much fraud that California wants a law keeping journalists from investigating the fraud. That's asinine in the simplest form. Why wouldn't you want a journalist to investigate? It costs you nothing as the government, but as journalists to investigate this, right? So
Right.
investigating something that costs you nothing that can save the government and taxpayers money at no fucking cost to anyone but the journalist. You want to eliminate that. That makes no fucking sense to me. But here's Nick Shirley explaining the Stop Nick Shirley Act.
All right, check this out. This is a bit crazy. California Democrats advance Stop Nick Shirley Act to criminalize investigative journalism. So after I expose widespread fraud all across America, and quite frankly, states like Minnesota and California are just the worst at it, letting fraud take place, especially inside of immigrant communities. For instance, the Somalians in Minnesota and then the Armenians in California. And so now they're trying to silence anybody who exposes fraud inside of California. For instance, if this bill is passed, the Quality Leering Center that was in Minnesota would be protected from being exposed. That is absolutely crazy. And the crazy thing about this is the person who's proposing this bill, her name is Mia Bonta. Her husband is the Attorney General of California. And so let's say you expose fraud. This is what could happen to you inside the state of California. You could get a misdemeanor, a $10,000 fine, imprisonment, and your content forced to be deleted. That is absolutely crazy. It is time for people to either stand up or we face mass oppression from those that rule us.
We are being ruled.
Gosh, dang, dude, that's some hefty fines for saying that you imagine your wife doing that when she's been committing fraud with your checkbook or your bedroom. Like,
Again,
honey, you're
it's,
holding out on me.
they're not guilty.
$10,000 fine.
It's your fault for noticing. It's not their fault that they're committing fraud. It's your fault for noticing they're committing fraud. That
Right.
is the problem. You can't notice shit in this country. I just don't get it. And I think we're doing a better job overall fighting fraud. And Trump administration put JD Vance and they got their fraud fighting Batman capes and shit, and they're doing pretty good with that.
Yeah, are they?
Well, they did. I did see something today to where they put something else out there and I don't know exactly everything they're doing, but I keep seeing shit on television about what they're gonna do. And I got a couple of videos when they're talking about the Somali fraud, and I'm hoping they keep pushing that. Again, I think Nick Shirley had to go out and get the ball rolling. So I don't give them credit for that, but I do give them credit for actually speaking. Let's just say speaking about the fraud because they do call out the fraud. Now, here's I'm gonna play this real quick just to let you know where I'm going at. This is Trump on the Somali fraud back in 2025.
Somalians ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying that we could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
So I think that was February 2025. I can stand behind that.
Yeah. I'll vote for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is where we need to be. America first, right?
Yeah, clean our stuff up. And if you can't do right here, you're going to get a first class ticket somewhere else. There's a reason why your country is a ass. I mean, Somalia is ass. Last time I checked, there's no sandals or resorts over there in Somalia, are there?
I don't see anybody planning vacations there.
No.
And so here's Stephen Miller talking about the fraud. I think this was in December of last year.
What's important for Americans to understand about how pervasive and widespread the fraud is that all of our systems were set up and established for a high trust society. I think that most citizens probably assume that there's some verification process that takes place for the receipt of most federal benefits. The reality is that there is not. This is particularly true in blue states, willfully true in blue states, in which all of these programs are operated entirely on the honor system. No verification takes place before individuals are enrolled in or receive these benefits. So as a simple example, if you're a Somali refugee living in Minnesota, you could lie about how many children you have. You could lie about what your immigration status is. You could lie about your marital status. You could lie about child care. You could lie about disability. You could lie about all these things and many more. And nobody in the state of Minnesota would validate any of these facts before writing you a check. We at the federal government are simply sent a bill from the state of Minnesota for the cost of providing these services in the aggregate. So to take the food stamp program as an example, SNAP, and that of course is administered by Secretary Rollins, we do not know the names of any SNAP recipient in the state of Minnesota. We just get a blank check. We have asked the state repeatedly and tried to compel the state unsuccessfully to turn over their SNAP enrollment rolls so we could ascertain such basic facts as, are these people even legally eligible to receive these benefits? And the state has refused, absolutely categorically refused. And in fact, the state has spent millions of dollars in court for the singular purpose of trying to prevent the state from ascertaining the identity of a single SNAP recipient in the entire state of Minnesota. Think about what this does to public trust, social trust, people's faith in the system, right? Imagine in a community, a working class community in the Twin Cities, say a native Minnesotan who works as a lineman or works as a construction worker, works in any job that requires hard work, dedication, focus, who's worried about his ability to support for and provide his family. And then imagine that he has a neighbor who's a Somali refugee who arrived 2 years ago and has a Mercedes and no financial stress and no worries at all in the entire world and never seems to ever go to work at all because he just went to an office in the state, lied on a piece of paper, and got unlimited free money forever for life. That is the system that is being run, and that is the corruption that this task force under the leadership of the vice president is going to demolish.
So, see, I think that could be good, you know? I think who the state that's approving this shit and, sending in and getting the money and who's signing off on all this shit is criminal. I still believe that's criminal. Those people need to be investigated from the bottom all the way up. Because even if I'm at the lowest level and all I'm doing is issuing the checks, subpoena them and ask them why they issuing the checks. And then they'll
Right.
tell them, well, this person's telling me to subpoena that one, and just keep
And
pulling
work
that
it all the
thread.
way up. Yeah.
Yeah. Why they not doing that? Because they don't want to know, or they know and they don't want to bring it out.
It's a system.
Yeah. So do I agree with everything that he just said? Yes. Are they going to go forward with that?
Nope.
That's my when I start seeing things, then okay. But I mean, I like the direction that they're saying they're going.
You're a lot
You
more
know?
optimistic than I am.
Well, I have to be, because if you're not, if you don't think that some things can happen, you get stuck in a rut to where you're just going to be a negative person about everything. So even when I look at shit that doesn't work out, I want to believe that yes, there is a purpose for all of us, and somebody will wake up one day and say, "Hey, look, man, we need to do this the right way." I'm hoping people can start having morals again.
Oh,
But
I am too. I just, like I said, not the people that are in there right now. And that's, I mean, nobody, we thought, we've said this a billion times, billion, that billion, that Trump was going to go in there and pull the drain and drain the swamp. And he didn't do it. Who's going to do it?
I don't know. It's going to have to be a collective.
They're all in on, well, a majority of them. Maybe Massey isn't. And
I don't
and
think
that,
Massey is.
what about that black Democratic dude
I
that was
don't
on
know.
Sean
I don't
Ryan?
know. I don't know about Ro Khanna. I think Ro Khanna has some
Rokon.
good things about him.
Yeah.
I don't
Fetterman,
trust.
I don't think Fetterman's in on it.
No, not yet. I think the only one I've seen so far, if you really look at what Massey's going through and what he's having to fight, and you guys in Kentucky need to go vote for him, whoever can vote for
Oh, I will.
him. He's the one that's taking it the hardest right now. So I
Yeah.
believe that he's our best ally.
Yeah.
Again, the ones that they are going straight after,
That's
and trying to run.
That's who you want to go for.
You need to start looking into that person.
Yeah.
You really do.
Yep.
And I don't know if you know this. I want to take this back to the fucking insurance cost. We were talking about that on a couple episodes ago, and how our morals and about suing people, because no matter what, your insurance is going to go up, and everybody's suing everybody today. But people with morals get fucked. So our society does not reward people with morals. But we have all these illegals getting on the road today, and you even enlightened me, a few months back about, all the illegals driving trucks. Well, there's illegals getting in accidents with no paperwork, no citizenship, and they're able to sue the people they're getting in accidents with. These people don't even belong in the fucking country. They have no insurance. They have no registration, and they can fucking sue you. That don't make any fucking sense to me. So I had to look into it. I found a video of this guy. He's going to explain it. It was his daughter. But I've also looked into it, and I've seen videos of lawyers, that saying, hey, look, you can sue. I think I got a short one. It's unbelievable that we have ambulance chasing lawyers that are pandering to fucking illegals to sue you, a U.S. citizen. Listen to this shit.
That's happening thousands of times a week in variations across the country.
Right.
My little girl, she's now over in the Straits of Hormuz, standing in harm's way in the worst place that you can be on the planet right now, a year ago. Driving down the I-10 a year and a half ago, traffic comes to a stop. It's going maybe 15 miles an hour anyway. It's bumper to bumper. She gets bumped in the rear end of a car, which pushes her into the car in front of her. The guy that hits her from behind, illegal, no insurance, flees the scene, leaves the car. The guy in front of her, illegal, no insurance. He starts to flee and drives into a car in front of him. The cops wrote it up as a 4-car chain reaction deal. You know who got sued?
Who?
We. Us.
Are you serious?
Oh, I'm deadpan serious. Yeah.
Right.
By the guy in the very front, because we were the only people that had insurance.
Yep. Daniel,
So now we're sitting here on the other side of fighting this thing with Allstate and State Farm and two different companies and all this. And here was the kicker on the whole thing. As bad as that was, I found out something under California law that the guy in the front, because he claimed injury, he has up to 3 years.
That's crazy.
To claim injury on something that was nothing more than scuffed paint on his car. But because he saw a money grab on it, we were the only people that were insured. I can't begin to tell you how much time, energy, and money I've spent fighting that.
Yeah.
And the two guys that were illegal, gone.
Yeah.
Gone. No insurance, gone.
100%.
Yep. And you have to pay for it all.
Yep.
Makes no damn sense to me.
No, it don't.
And just for anyone that has a question, I forgot this, but I did find a video of a lawyer telling you have the right to sue. Listen to this shit.
Can an illegal immigrant file a lawsuit in Texas? The answer may surprise you, but yes, in most situations, illegal immigrants can actually file lawsuits if they've been in a car accident. The law does not require an immigration status in the United States to file a lawsuit. In situations, though, you'll need to have a social security card or an EIN, employment identification number, in order to file a lawsuit.
They all get social security cards. That's pretty fucking easy.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that we should treat illegals, illegal citizens as inhumanely at all.
Right.
Do they need to go? Yeah. But I don't think them being here should hold as much weight as a legal person, a legal law-abiding person. I just don't.
Right.
And let me say that accidents happen,
Mhm.
and if it was, I don't know, it's even hard. Like, even if it was negligent, if it was DUI and you hit someone, I don't even know how I feel about that. Yes, you shouldn't have been DUI. You should go to jail for DUI. But should you be responsible for somebody that shouldn't be on the road and shouldn't be in your country?
Mm-mm.
I don't know how. I don't know.
If you're not a citizen of the United States, then you don't have rights. The rights are for citizens, not non-citizens.
Because you're in the country illegally. You shouldn't be driving a vehicle.
Right.
You have a vehicle with no registration. You have no insurance. But now I hit you because you might have done something erratic, and now you can sue me.
Right.
I don't know, man. It's another way to crush your morals and your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
The man with morals is just no reward for it. The system rewards those who fall in line,
Right.
not the ones that do the right thing.
Right.
Because like you said, the system's corrupted and evil. Well,
You heard it here first.
yeah. All right. Yeah, I wasn't trying to be Debbie Downer on all this stuff, but I mean, it's some fucked up shit in this country,
Mhm.
and we'll figure it out as we go, I guess. But before we leave, I want to give y'all a little something to give you a little hope. This is why you can't please women. Check this out.
Women are incapable of being happy?
Why do you say that?
Because women with curly hair buy a straightener. Women with straight hair buy a curler. Women with dark hair dye it blonde. Women with blonde hair dye it dark. Women with big boobs, they get a breast reduction. Women with small boobs, they get implants. I mean, you can't make that species happy. If they're light skinned, they want to get darker. There is no making them happy. They got eyebrows. They shave them off and draw new ones on. There is no making that species happy. When the Almighty created woman, He created a weird animal.
Anything else?
No, that's it. I mean, I'm sure there's more.
Can't make them happy.
No. You can just hope to contain them.
That's right. Got anything to add, man?
Nope.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is the Sense and Senseless podcast. I'm Brian.
I'm Jason.
He's Jason. Peace.
Peace.